Let's go live to Albertsons Stadium in Boise, Idaho, where Spencer Linton and Blaine Fowler are live. They will join us for coverage coming up on Countdown to Kickoff as well, of course. But, guys, what's the weather like? I notice you're wearing Royal on the Royal like BYU will today as well, so you kind of blend in like we talked about.
Yes, we have effectively camouflaged ourselves, at least on the upper half of our bodies, into the field.
Spencer's wearing white pants, which just doesn't do it. I have on blue pants, but not Royal. And if I really wanted to go with what the team was doing, I'd have Royal on Royal, which I don't know how they're even going to find him out there on this one. Western Michigan's going to really struggle to even find the players out there, so it should be an advantage for BYU.
Yes, and now of note, this is the final game that will be played on this current edition of the Boise Blue Turf. They are replacing the Blue Turf next year, so BYU will take out the old turf after the famous Idaho Potato Bowl against the Western Michigan Broncos. Let's talk about the game, Blaine, and start with how good BYU's been on defense, but what do they do to replace guys like Corbin and Isaiah Kaufusi?
Right, and they've had about a month now, or just a little less than a month, to think about what the best strategy is. And remember, you're losing a great pass rusher. You're losing an Isaiah Kaufusi, a guy that covers a lot of ground in space and is not only good against the run, but he is good in space against the pass. And so those are big losses, and they're a lot of times on the same side of the field. And so what we're going to see BYU do in this football game, it's just next man up on the D-line. So they're going to rotate guys through. But at linebacker, we've seen in the weeks moving up to this where they've just played a lot of nickel. You know, we've read reports that Tanner Jacobson is going to play that outside linebacker, which he is. But what that means is he's going to do what he's been doing for the whole second half of the season. Tanner's been the starting nickel. When they go to nickel, they take out a linebacker. Tanner comes in and plays that position. So it's not like this is something new for him. He understands what he's supposed to do. He knows the position well. Tanner is low to the ground. He's physical. He can play the run, and he'll be fantastic in space against the pass. And so if they do feel like, wait a minute, now they're just loading up and running it right at Tanner, and maybe he's a little undersized, I don't think that they'll be able to take advantage of him because I think he'll hold up. But if he doesn't, they can always take Pulsifer and move him over to that side of the field, or they could take Rhett Sandlin and move him over. They've gotten reps at both outside linebackers in the weeks leading up to the bowl.
So what you're telling us is BYU does have some options, but they're going to need maybe an experienced guy in Tanner Jacobson to be a little bit more versatile in that backfield. Okay, we've talked about who's out of note on the defensive side. What about on the offensive side of the ball? Because for A.J. Stewart, the running backs coach, and Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator, it has been a total juggling effect of all the running backs. So who's going to line up and play running back for BYU today?
We're going to see Riley Burt play running back in this one, maybe more than we've seen. Squally Canada, we're going to see. But the question on Squally is can you count on him staying healthy? Because he's come into games with a clean bill of health and played just a few plays. So it's like, hey, can Squally go and how long can he go? So you better have backup plans. We'll see Burt play. I think we'll see Algier play quite a bit. And we even saw Aleva Hifo taking some snaps in the run game. And I don't mean on fly sweeps. I mean put him at tailback and toss him the football and let him run the football around the end. If you think about it, BYU really needs to be able to attack the edges against this Western Michigan team, and Hifo could be a guy that they could put in at tailback, toss him the football. He's got that great speed to get to the edge.
How does Zach Wilson, as the BYU quarterback, coming off a heartbreaking loss against Utah, and he's had to sit on that loss for a few weeks, how do you think he shows up today against this Western Michigan defense?
Well, I think he's going to play well. He's had a number of weeks now. Whenever you have a young quarterback, when you have time to just practice and correct and look at film and do things, they make progress. And so he's had time to kind of look at the last couple of weeks of the season, adjust from the mistakes that he's made, learn about what he's been doing well and how to do more of that. And he's going to have to be really, really good. This Western Michigan team, they're going to bring a lot of things at him. Think Northern Illinois. This is a team defensively that's built on big plays. And so they like to get in the backfield with tackles for loss. They like to sack the quarterback. They force fumbles. They get interceptions. It's not a team that just holds you and plays really, really physical, but they'll try to do things to surprise you and get big plays defensively. So he's going to have to be mentally sharp in this ball game. And without a full complement of running backs and not sure how the running game is going to go, I think he's going to have to be an extension of the run game with the pass game. What I mean is get the ball out to the edges, throw some screens and some quick things, and I think we'll see BYU make this Western Michigan defense run from sideline to sideline early in this game.
Now, BYU and Western Michigan have the common opponent of Northern Illinois, and the Broncos, they fired their defensive coordinator because they weren't getting anything done late in the season, and then they respond with this rallying cry 28-21 victory against a Northern Illinois team that beat BYU 7-6. So there is some concern there about, well, is this a new defense? Is this a new team? And what should BYU expect against the team that beat Northern Illinois?
Well, keep in mind, in the 3 games before that Northern Illinois game, they couldn't stop anyone. That's why they made the change. It was just like a sieve, the defense was. And so they had a good game against Northern Illinois, but BYU fans will remember that Northern Illinois game. That's not a real dynamic offensive football team. They want to run the football. They do a control pass game. They don't attack you that much. And so I feel like that was a good matchup for them. They come out of that game with confidence, but the 3 teams previous to that were able to spread the ball around a little bit and make them run from sideline to sideline and attack vertically a little bit, they struggled to stop those teams. It's the same personnel, maybe with a different attitude and maybe just a little different scheme, but it's that same personnel that 3 teams in a row took advantage of. And I think BYU needs to be aggressive offensively. They need to attack them vertically. They need to get the ball to the edges and make them run. And BYU can help this freshman quarterback if they can establish a run game early on.
What can BYU – and then you think about the difference between 7-6 and 6-7. We've talked about this on the show more than a few times this week. That sounds a lot different. So how much can BYU earn today in terms of winning back the fan base, and how much does a winning record technically matter to this offseason?
I think it has huge implications in terms of the feel for the program in the offseason. On early signing day the other day, they got some really good gets, some players that they were hoping would sign, they thought would sign, but give them some confidence from the fan base that, hey, this thing's on the right track. They played all these freshmen on offense this year. Defense was a top 20 defense all year. If the offense can come along next year, the team is going places. But I think this game is a test where they go, this is Western Michigan. They didn't win the MAC. If BYU's really made progress, and these freshmen that played all year shouldn't play like freshmen anymore, BYU needs to win this and take this off season with some momentum and some confidence that they're doing the right things.
All right, guys, I think it's time that we go do some, I don't know, can we do Blue Angels on the blue field?
We're going to run ladders on the blue field.
There's no snow.
To warm up.
It did rain a little bit last night, but the temperature is expected to be 40, maybe low 40s, partly cloudy today, and it looks like the no snow streak will continue at the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. So we're feeling pretty good about this.
The weather's not going to be a factor in this one. I have been out on the field, and the footing's always good on this type of turf. It drains water from last night, but the temperature's not like we've been holding these microphones. I could throw the football now. It's not going to affect the game. There's really no wind in the stadium right now, and so the temperature's not freezing. There's no moisture, and there's not really any wind to speak of. So the weather's going to have zero impact on this game, and that's good.
All right, you guys, there's your weather report from Boise. Anything else you'd like?
Well, I wanted to ask you guys specifically a question about Zach Wilson. And because of so much uncertainty in terms of offensive players who may or may not play, what type of performance or what type of added responsibility do you expect Zach to take on today?
Well, how do you quantify something like that,
Well,
Blaine?
The quarterback always has the most responsibility, right? It's his job to distribute the ball, and when you don't have the same group in the backfield, or at least not the group you'd like to have Katoa in this game full time. When you don't have all of your pieces, then it's on the quarterback to distribute the ball to the other guys. Now, the good news is they've gone through the last couple of weeks, and they've known who they were going to have or who they weren't going to have. So they've been able to put some wrinkles in and do some things. I mean, for me, the biggest thing for Zach Wilson to do is to take care of the football, to distribute the ball, but not force the ball into places that it shouldn't go, not feed this Western Michigan defense that's fed off of turnovers.
Oh, they thrive, yeah.
And making big plays. This is a big play defense. If you take care of the football, then I think you take away one of Western Michigan's strengths. And for the most part of the season, Zach's done a good job of that, taking care of the football, especially when you consider that he's a freshman in his first year.
All right, so I think to answer your question, Jason, when the quarterback plays well, it works 60% of the time, all the time.
That's exactly right.
Thanks, Yogi Berra. Yeah, that's great.
Just say thanks, Brian Fontana.
And Anchorman. Awesome. We look forward to more from you guys on Countdown to Kickoff, 3 Eastern Time. Stay warm until then. We'll talk to you in a bit.